Hello everyone and welcome to today's iRacing video. We're here at the awesome Phillip Island racetrack in Melbourne, Australia, and we're just about to get underway on our full formation lap. So we'll get going.
E9. The air temp is 22 Celsius.
Just wait for the spotter to go on and then we'll do a bit of an intro as the formation lap kicks off and gets around.
Hollow car number 13.
Alright, so welcome all, and we're in today's iRacing video. We're going to be just around the Phillip Island Grand Prix track in Melbourne, Australia. This is from down my old neck of the woods. I was born and raised in Melbourne, and have actually driven around this track on a few separate occasions. It's a great track. It's in a gorgeous section of the world, right down there on right down by the coast. I'm not sure if iRacing did it much justice, but if you look out past down that main straight, it's right on the water, leading out into the back beaches. So it's an absolutely gorgeous track. Really flowy kind of track. So in order to get a really good lap time around here, you need to be just super on your marks in terms of braking points, ability to just ease off the throttle, don't have to be full throttle everywhere. Even just coasting through corners can sometimes be quicker than just being real jarring on and off throttle, on and off the brakes. And yeah, it's a track that I really struggle with. Again, as with a lot of the tracks here in this VRS series, I haven't raced here physically in iRacing before. I did the 6 PM race here in Australia on Tuesday. What's the date today? The 4th of May. Yeah, so did the 6 PM race, finished in P13 after not setting a qualifying lap and starting in, I think, P17 or 18. Had about 11 incident points just from being silly, dropping wheels, carrying way too much speed, just trying to outrace what was going on around me. And I probably could have been a lot higher, like a 9th or a 10th place, if I had just kept my nose out of trouble and just focused on the race. But it's in the past. We bounced back from it. Had my first win in a VRS series race. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording it. But that was last night at Road America. After a pretty up and down kind of week, it felt pretty damn good to get my first VRS Sprint Series race, even though it was bottom split, strength of field, like 830. It still was good. No incident points either on Road America, which was good, which meant that I was slowly gaining confidence with that track and getting a little bit more consistent and a little bit better. This start's a little bit all over the shop because we don't really have anyone behind us.
Green, green, green.
I think maybe ambled too much on the start of the race on the formation lap, but yeah, we were just let go completely. Oh, Merrick's off up ahead. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, I was born in, there you see that gorgeous coastal vista as you come around that. I think it's corners 2, or might be corner 2 or corner 3, depending on how many corners that first kink is and bend is.
Okay, Oliver, decent start. We can build something from here.
So yeah, for those who don't know, I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula down in Victoria, and then relocated a few years back up to Canberra, and that's where I reside now. But This was one of probably my favourite places to visit in Victoria in terms of racing, just because it was a beautiful coastal town, and just had so many options and so many things you could do. If you're into surfing, you go back beach and go surfing. If you're into diving, that was that option there as well. There was a few wildlife parks as well, and iconically, if you wanted to go see penguins or anything like that, Phillip Island was where you wanted to go. So a lot of Australian series race here. The V8 supercars do race here, which is pretty awesome because they're big touring cars and they're able to navigate this very tight, twisty, undulating track at a really good rate of knots. And more famously, the MotoGP bikes will race here as well, and it's a pretty damn good track, and it's a pretty good spectacle to watch. A little known fact as well, just about maybe 2 or 3 kilometers away from, oh, not even, maybe a few hundred meters, there's actually a miniature, I believe it's either a 1/4 or a 1/3 scale replica go-karting track, which you can hire a go-kart for a 30-minute period, and you will race a replica or downsized scaled version of the Phillip Island Grand Prix track, and see how fast you can get those go-karts around, which is pretty fun. I've done it a few times and it is pretty good, because as you come down the hairpin on the replica track, you can see the second and third corner on this track, and you will typically see car manufacturers doing drive day experiences and stuff like that, and utilizing that Phillip Island Grand Prix track.
30.
That McLaren was a little bit close for comfort, but luckily we got past him without too many dramas. Just keep going. I am dropping off the back of Tsushiyuki in the Ford GT. But like I said, we're keeping it on the black stuff for the moment, which is all I could possibly ask for. I think one of the hardest things to wrap your head around with this kind of track is it's a lot of blind cornering, or not blind cornering, but like approaches to corners and sequences of corner can sometimes be very misleading, and what you may assume or presume that a corner would naturally flow in a certain way, most likely here at Phillip Island it is the opposite of that direction. So if you naturally feel, oh yeah, this corner is going to flow to the left, chances are it'll go to the right. You think it's going to be, oh yeah, this will be nice and gradual, chances are it'll be a very sharp corner, and you need to really wipe off the speed.
The guy behind's catching. The gap's now 1.2 seconds.
And I think the most important thing is just very smooth on steering, throttle, brake application. Just, I know that goes, that's almost a given when racing, but here it really pays dividends to just slower is faster, realistically here. Jamie Bright is catching up to me in, I believe it is the McLaren. That may have been the one that had the issues earlier there at the penultimate and last corners.
The gap ahead is now 2.1.
So yeah, if you guys are enjoying the content at the moment, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe and a comment. Again, as I mentioned in the last video, we've just started up a Twitter channel, which is pretty much just a way for me to be keeping you guys up to date with content, what's going on in personal lives if I'm ever away and can't upload consistently, or all the other kind of good words to punch into there whilst I'm focusing on not losing this position.
Car left. Clear left.
Okay, stay with him.
So yeah, feel free to check that out. The link will be in the description of this video, as well as in the About tab of the channel. Ooh, I've got that one pulled up. It went way too deep. That's going to cost me a butt ton of time. That was a very silly error. Just got to focus back in. If for whatever reason I do drop off and go quiet for like a 30-second, minute period, 2-minute period, bear with me. This track really does take a lot of concentration. It doesn't appear to be
8th place.
all that much of a demanding kind of track. It doesn't have like the biggest braking zones, or doesn't have like really difficult complexes of corners. However, I can tell you now, this track is not a walk in the park in any capacity. And as I've mentioned in a few of my other videos, there's nothing wrong with sitting behind another car, conserving a little bit of fuel. Seeing that this track is more of a lift and coasty kind of track, you don't really find yourself burning a lot of litres of fuel per lap, because there is so many corners that are just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna lift and coast into here, up this section here of the track, and it does allow you to be pretty damn good on fuel conservation, and you can make a tank last, I'd say in a VRS 40-minute race. In that first race, I think I probably could have gotten 36 minutes into the race on a 60-litre tank before having to refuel. I don't think it's the fastest way to go around the track. However, it is an option should you wish to.
That lap time was 1:31.34.
Car left. Hold your line. Clear left.
Come on, Oliver. Don't panic. We'll get him back.
That was a pretty damn good overtake by Durante. He kept his inner line. I did not cut down on him a little bit, but I did drop down a little bit lower.
I think our refueling window will open after 22 minutes and close
than
it
I would have wanted to.
Minutes.
However, he was a good racer. Once I got that clear message from the spotter, I dropped back in behind him.
The gap in front is now 1.3.
However, Durante is Dorte, or however you pronounce it. I do apologise if I am butchering anyone's name. P8 for car number 4, so he's obviously
Yellow flag.
quite quick. Isn't the two cars directly ahead of us that have made a mistake? It might be it looks like it might be the Japanese gentleman. 3 cars ahead of us. He may have made a slight error. Oh no, blue flagger, Graham. I think
7th position. You've just done a 1:32.00.
One of the other daunting components of this track, I believe, is on conventional circuits, or more conventional, less undulating.
The gap behind is now
ones that have slightly less camber angle. You can typically see what's on the other side of a curb or grass. However, here at Phillip Island Raceway, you do find that some corners are pretty much just shearing. You don't really know what lies off the other side of it. And 9 times out of 10, it is a pretty serious drop-off, which the second you put the hint of a tyre on it, especially if you're on throttle or even on brake for that matter, will just send the car into a spin, because the power or the brakes will take the path of least resistance. And if one wheel's sitting in the air or free playing through the air, it will, you can bet your butt that it will pick that wheel and it'll just send you into a spin. And that's then just attributing to the whole slower is faster kind of mantra that you kind of need to have with this track. You can push it and bring the neck of it, and a good driver will, but they'll be on the limit the whole time. Sometimes just taking a deep breath and not going helter-skelter through a sequence of corners might just mean the car's a little bit steadier.
Just posted a 1:29.36.
A little bit easier.
That was a 1:31.87.
And on top of an already difficult track to master, pit lane here is absolutely terrifying. And I got it completely wrong in the last race I did. However, it's really not a super easy pit lane to get into. The faster guys are doing mid to high 120s around here, so 126s, 127s, 128s even, and then your lower down guys will be doing 30, 31s. Then you have me that will do like a mid-30 and stuff like that. Because that's what I do. Three cars up above though, well, Duarte is catching up. I think
132.03.
May have made a slight mistake that's dropped him off, but those other two cars are pretty much going punch for punch. Hopefully Alexis is a good blue flagger and like doesn't try to overtake me or try to do anything silly that may, well, not compromise his race but also compromise my own. Ali was in the last race as well. I believe he finished P14. I think he was racing in an orange and black Ferrari. Hopefully when we catch up to him we can have a look and see what car he's running with and get past him, because I would hazard a guess that Alexis is racing against Ali potentially.
Car right. Clear right.
And one of the other good things to be is just to always be vigilant on what's going on around you. Like I saw that Alexis was making that move and that he was really trying his hardest to get past me again. For the last three corners he was catching me up rather quickly. So when I saw that I was ever so slightly slower than he was through the prior corners to that right-hander, I just said, I'm just going to hold wide here. I'm sure he's going to dive it. And sure enough, he did. And it just meant that he didn't T-bone me. No incident points, no wing damage, nothing. We just got on with it. And to be perfectly honest, I might sit behind him for a few laps and then might jump in the pits around the 21, 22 minute mark. I know at that point I'll still have 10 minutes of fuel left before I would run out, which typically on a track you'll run it completely bone dry and have a small stop at the end. Oh, that was Taki. Not Toshi, sorry, my apologies, not Taki. However, here there is just so many different...
Car right, clear right. Car right, clear right.
That does scare me, unfortunately, because I'm only running a single monitor setup as opposed to triples like most, or 49 inch, or sorry, 42
is reeling you in. The gap is now 1.7
ultra wide. I have
You're looking really good. Come on, keep your focus.
next to no peripheral vision in that respect, so I am quite heavily dependent on my in-game spotter to make sure I don't get cleaned up. So when I do see those kind of cars, when I'm even remotely close to them and I see them drop a wheel and spin out in front of me or behind me and we're approaching a corner, I'm always very...
You've used half your fuel.
Very cautious, because you could have a car careening into the side of you, and again that just comes down to observation and the old mantra of, in order to finish first you must finish. If you're making silly mistakes or putting yourself in more risk by just racing, like acting like there's no one else on the track, you have no chance of winning a race.
Fastest lap for Jiminez, 129.21.
So just look down at the relative and I haven't even been paying attention to it. But please don't let the position of 5th fool you. A lot of people do pit around the 13-14 minutes mark, as we saw with Duarte, because you can realistically, after about the 8-minute mark, go in, fill up and race all the way to the end. Puts you in clear air, you can just punch in some really good lap times. And on any other track, the track I was more familiar with, an undercut kind of strategy like that would be really good. However, on a track that I am inclined to make mistakes on, not be the fastest, even when I'm out in free space or following behind another car, I think it makes minimal difference to myself. And plus, I feel I am a relatively good defender and relatively honest defender. So I feel like if someone is coming through the field with 3 or 4 minutes to go, I feel I could pretty well hold them off. But that is also about having a good driver behind you that is also a clean attacker. So someone that won't just dive bomb you and just make you get out of the way and do all the work, just will set up and overtake 3 or 4 corners, if not further back, and make their intentions really quite clear, so there's no miscommunication and no one has to get punted off and have their race completely ruined.
On your right, clear right.
That corner has been catching me out.
Come on, man, defend harder.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate. They do love to just twist the blade in there just ever so slightly when you do make a mistake, when you give away a position you probably shouldn't have.
6th place.
But that being said, Toshi was ahead of me, and he is, I'm sure, a considerably quicker driver, or relatively on par driver with myself. He might just be a little bit more confident in the Ford GT.
The gap ahead is now
all around this track, and him getting past was completely inevitable, and I just profited off the fact that he made an error. So, yeah, I think inevitably he was going to get past me. However, we did make a mistake, and that is something we need to improve on. Again, this is the second time I've raced here, and I've done probably accumulatively like maybe 35 minutes of practice on this track. So, consistency and races finished is the way you improve, not by ending a race on the second lap. And also, even though he is a quicker driver than me, there is no point...
Oliver, don't think about the lap times. Just hit each and every apex.
Making
20 minutes remaining. You've got 20 minutes
silly
left.
overtaking
That's
maneuvers, or
should be about 12 minutes of fuel
absolutely nipping at this guy's heels the whole race, trying to
That's your quickest lap.
overtake him at every single opportunity, because it's a 40-minute race, and all it takes is one dumb split-second decision to completely throw your race away, and probably more worse off, ruin someone else's. Where in another sim might not be as painful, because you don't have a licensing system. You may not potentially get relegated.
On your right. Clear right.
Like, you may not potentially get relegated through the license slots. However, in a game like iRacing, or a simulator like iRacing, sorry, like, for the people that do get knocked back down to C, means you can't do VRS sprint races anymore, means you can't compete anymore, and for some people that is very off-putting, and you do get that, almost that crunch into like, oh, do I even want to race this week, because I'm going to damage my safety rating, I'm going to damage my I rating, which is bad. And it's usually through no fault of their own. It's typically someone else doing the wrong thing. Kind of like what Alexis is doing here in front of us. I don't know why I've been calling him Alexi. Alexis is doing here, like, as a blue flagger, she's not in the heat of battle, potentially with Pascal.
The gap in front is
not really. Pascal's in the Pierce.
3 seconds.
So
Sector 1 is 0.49 off the pace. Sector 2 is 1.5 off the pace. Sector 3 is 0.9 off the pace.
like, Alexis realistically isn't really racing anyone around her. She's not in the heat of battle against another back marker or anything like that. A lap down on Pascal. So, and I would take it way more to P12. There is quite literally zero incentive for racing as hard as they are. They should not be re-overtaking lead lap cars unless that lead lap car has made a serious mistake, has damage, or really just wants to let you through so they can save some fuel potentially on a more fuel sensitive track. Like it really increasing your likelihood of a mistake being made or an incident occurring, and I really do feel for Tashik because I think it's only a matter of time before that Ford gets some damage.
You're pulling away. The gap behind is now 7.4 seconds. The car behind's pitting.
Thank you very much, Robert.
P5. Your lap time was at 1:31.00.
Like, and you see, just not knowing my luck, if I were to have pushed hard there in the way I did, and the way he just came back on the track there, he could have very easily clipped the back of my car, and that's my race over. So I just feel, especially when it comes to back markers, there's just realistically no point fighting. Like, if they're going to dive bomb you, just give them that corner, because they realistically got nothing to lose. Their race is over. And on a sim like iRacing, that you're only racing for 40 minutes in this VRS series, when you realistically go a lap down, it would take something pretty miraculous in order to unlap yourself, and then like finish a lap, like catch back up to the entire pack again, and be in a position to fight for a win. And I'm not saying don't race hard or don't race to the end. The second you're a lap down, give up, because I'm pretty sure half my videos I end up a lap down by the end of the race, or at least 2 laps down. It's just not worth risking your race against a back marker. Like, at least if you were to have an accident with someone on a lead lap, like if I were to have a bingle with Toshi, we'd be fighting for position, we'd be fighting for something, not just, oh, I'm a back marker.
Okay, Oliver, 15 minutes left. That's 15 minutes.
I'm a back marker, I'm just going to end Toshi's race. Or
the gap in front is increasing. It's now
what do
4.0.
I gain from overtaking Toshi? Like, nothing. I'm still a back marker, I'm still behind him. Nothing. And that's all on the proviso that a blue flag
The lead car's pitting.
isn't racing anyone. Like, for example, if Ali and Alexis were racing one another and they were half a second between one another, as a lead lap driver, although we are given right of way, we also have to be respectful for their race, because they're fighting for position still. However, if you're on your own, just be respectful and just let the lead lap cars through. I think Toshi did make a mistake. But no. Oh, no, it may have been Jackson, potentially. Because Toshi did dispatch him rather quickly, so I have an inkling, potentially, that, yeah.
That lap time was 1:32.23. Sector 3 is 1.1 off the pace. Okay, Oliver, 5 minutes of fuel remaining. 5 minutes.
I might go late and see how it pays out. see whether a quick splash and dash right at the end will be beneficial to me, because I'm sure Duarte will catch up to me and he'll overtake me as I'm in the pits, if not before the pits. But I feel like if I can just go in, absolutely nail my pit stop and not make a mistake on pit entrance and give myself a 40-second time penalty, I should come out in 6th or 7th, and I'll probably be battling. It's going to be real easy for Duarte to get past me when I'm doing silly... Oh, Duarte must have made a mistake. A big mistake. Yeah, disregard what I said. Oh, and Michael had damage, so I might be on for either a P6 or a P7, just depending on how the pit stop falls.
P5.
I genuinely don't know how much time you lose in the pit. I think it depends on how much you're putting in as well, but...
The gap in front is now 5.8.
I lost 8 seconds. So I think we've got one more lap in us maybe, or potentially 2. It will just depend.
The leader, Jiminez, is pitting.
See, even the leaders are trying like completely different strategies, because I'm pretty sure I heard the spotter. Yeah, 2 laps difference between the top 2 pitting, which I guess... I think it also may cater to how different cars feel under different fuel loads, like rear, mid, front engine cars, all that kind of thing, how you got your brake biases set up. They might just react better on a low fuel load, on a high fuel load. Like I know with the Lambo, I don't like...
Car ahead's pitting now.
I have only started to do my qualifying sessions recently, like in the last few races, just giving it a shot to see if it does give me a little bit more in...
P3, we're running on fumes, mate. In this lap, box this lap, please, Oliver.
So I just wanted to try and see if potentially, like especially in these lower SOF, strength of field races, sorry, didn't need to abbreviate that, if setting a qualifying lap, like even if I can get 5 or 6, 3 or 4 spots higher, even if I don't gain as much off the start and it's less exciting content, if it means that I'm avoiding that all the people that are starting at the back of the grid that are just going to dive bomb into
10 minutes to
T1,
go. 10 minutes left.
lap 1, I'll take it every day of the week. Even if it means I get a net lower position in race, or even if my starts are slightly less entertaining, at least I'd be able to put a video out if I'm a little bit higher up the grid. So it seems to be working. However, I'm not going to qualify on a track that I don't really know realistically, and it's a really bad habit to get into. You shouldn't be racing unless you know the track well enough to not be a hindrance to other people. And I know you all got to start somewhere, but the registrations for races opens 30 minutes before race time. You should jump in those into those warm-up sessions and learn the tracks.
Pit lane speed limit is 72 kilometers per hour. All right, Oliver, we'll fill you to the end of the race. 2 litres left.
And I'll get a splash more because of the way I've set my crew race up, my crew chief up.
Watch your mirrors, there's a car approaching. Come on, keep digging. P4.
Right side. Hold your line. Clear right.
I raced with Jamie in the last race. However,
On your right.
he didn't have a
Clear
very
right.
good one last one.
On your left.
Oh, that was a good.
Clear left.
That was very good by Jamie. Like, he held it, he gave me that inside line and just cut straight back underneath me. There was literally nothing I could do. So to come out in a net 5th position is awesome. And I'm pretty sure Toshi did have a bit of an error. I thought I saw a message, like an automated message saying sorry or something like that. However, there's still about 8 minutes of racing to go, so a lot can happen and I can still make an absolute butchery of this. You watch and see. And in the earlier race,
The gap in front is increased to 1.6 seconds.
I thought, oh, maybe 3 or 4 different splits or something like that. There were only 2 splits, so I guess not a lot of people play on Tuesday. I know a lot of people have work commitments, and also the Australian sim racing community isn't the biggest like it is in Europe or Japan or America, so potentially less people playing at the times that I am. But yeah, only 2 splits in that top race. Was like a 2.5k split, and then I think ours was like a 1230 something k split off the top of my head. And I think I had a car number of 13. I think I finished either 13th or 14th. I can't remember 100%. And that's where I probably contradicted myself from what I said at the start of the race. So just take with it what you want. You really want to know, look at my results on my iRacing page. And if you do really want to check out my stats, feel free to punch my name into iRacing, but just remember I make sim racing content, not horror content, so don't be shocked when you realize that my results are about as consistent, I don't know, as consistent as can possibly be for someone racing in such a low strength of field and still building up their skill and confidence in a car like this. I have sometimes 4 or 5 runs where I would think, why am I even doing this? And then I'll have other strings of races where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually not completely trash. And
Pay attention to track limits, please, Oliver. 5 minutes remaining, 5 minutes left.
I'm very sorry, Pascal, about getting back on the track the way I did. I didn't expect it to grip up that way, and the second I saw you coming on my relative, I did my best to give you as much space as I possibly could. I even tried to turn off the track. So, way to make it hard on myself now. I was so close to having another perfect incident-free race, but only a 1x isn't too bad. And I'm still in this, haven't lost a spot yet. However, there is still about 4 minutes to go. So, I reckon most likely
Car right, 3 wide, you're in the middle, clear left, clear all round.
this is getting very freaking full on. Ooh. So it's 0.4 back to me. Oh, well, 0.5, 0.4 fluctuating, and then another 0.4 back to Tashi, and then like another 0.4 back to the one behind there. So this is going to get very tasty on like the last 3 laps. And I'm about to do it freaking again.
Okay, Oliver, don't let this guy distract you.
Can't believe I just did that. It was 100% net code, because on my end I definitely didn't touch him, but really just need to focus up going into that corner. So I think as I start the start finish line next lap, I'm just going to shut up for like 20 seconds and just focus on nailing that corner as best I can. Oh, that was a very slow out, and Michael is quicker than me. Oh, we must have gotten a twitch or something. I don't think it's going to play ball. I'm going to have 2 more laps. I'm going to have 1 more and then another. But I have pushed that gap out to 0.07 and a 0.08. Toshi is like much closer.
To 0.8.
And that Ford is pretty bloody quick in the
Estimate
straight
you've got
line.
5 minutes of fuel remaining.
Nice and tight. That sucks that I got a 4X for that though.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't have given... Oh, nah. Wow.
We've just cut the track.
I don't know what Jeffrey's getting salt in these wounds about. I didn't tell him to follow me off the track. I went off on my own accord. So, in my opinion, I did throw away a pretty easy 5th position there. However, there is still a lot that can happen. There's still a lot that can go down. And Alright, so let's see if 3rd time is the charm and I don't make a silly mistake going into that 2nd corner. But overall, I'm still very happy and very proud of the result that I've gotten here today, provided I get around this corner safely and Jeffrey stays behind me and I stay in 7th. Otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself.
P7.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I had to say it, didn't I?
We've gone out of track limits. Keep it between the lines.
The perks are going off before the 2nd corner. It means you don't go off at the 2nd corner. I don't know what just happened in the last 8 minutes. I was in complete and utter control and
Right side. Clear right.
oh, has he run out of fuel? I think Jeffrey may have ran out of fuel. He had no guts coming out of that corner. I genuinely think Jeffrey has run out of fuel. Or maybe not. Maybe he just made a mistake. But alright. Well, again, it was by no means a perfect... Oh, we still got 1 lap to go. Wow, I was getting way too ahead of myself.
2 minutes of fuel remaining.
Oh, this one actually...
1 more to go. Very little fuel left.
It's there. It's where that corner just falls away from you, where you just get dragged off onto the grass there. So...
That's 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
Although he definitely made a mistake, I was still very happy
2 litres remaining.
with that overtake. I got that lap before on Jeffrey. He pitted relatively early if I'm 16, so he pitted at 1.5 minutes a lap. pinted like 6-7 minutes before me. So
1 litre remaining.
I think running later into the race was a better strategy. However, it doesn't help when you throw it away, like I managed to do. But hey, I'm getting better. So we are seeing consistently better results.
P7. That's the end of the race. Never mind.
I don't know what you're complaining about, bruh. We did good. We are consistently improving, which is all you can ever ask for. I knew this wasn't going to be an overnight transformation as I magically got better, but yeah. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to jump out of the car and get into the results. So what we're going to do, guys, we're just going to quickly jump into the results. So strength of field 1032, so 3 splits here. We were bottom split, which is a given. Got a safety rating increase of 0.12, which is pretty good, and an I rating increase of 39. Should have been up there, but it is what it is. So, wow, we were all Australians, and an Australian won. So great job, Samuel, Realitu, and Duarte, both from Iberia. Great results. And Sam he must have led from the start. Lead changes too, potentially, yeah, must have led from the start. Great increase for him as well, but yeah, loving it. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like, a subscribe, and a comment. Check out my Twitter, and we will catch you in the next one. Will most likely be another Phillip Island race, provided that this week goes good for me. Bye.